Hey everyone, Pro Image Right here, and today I want to talk about something you might have heard in the photography community, especially if you do portraits, TFP. Now before I start off this video, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram for more of my content. That's where I post all of my work as much as I can, so you guys can have something to look at in the meantime while I fail to upload videos as much as I should. But anyway, let's continue on. So what exactly is TFP? What does it stand for? Well, if you're a portrait photographer or photographer in general, I guess, this might be something that you've unwillingly done and you haven't even realized it yet. TFP basically stands for Trade for Print. And what that basically means is that you're offering your services to the brand or business or company or model or whatever or whoever that you're working with. You're offering your services in exchange for their services for free, basically. Now, believe it or not, this is actually the majority of my work. Most of my models that I shoot with is some sort of trade for print sort of situation. Other times I book models, of course, and those models are really great because they show their talent through and through. It's evident, you can see it. And that's not even to say anything bad about people who are not models and, you know, just like I said, I should probably make like a tier list of people that like are just S tier, A tier, like they're all great. But no, what I like about Trade for Print is that it's convenient, and that's most of like what I do, because finding models is pretty tricky, and when it comes to pricing and different things, it can get a little tricky, I'm not gonna lie. But at the same time, God, I guess I should get into the nitty gritty of the main point of why I decided to make this video in the first place. Okay, so Trade for Print is established when two parties agree to meet up and exchange their services free of charge, no BS, no in between, everything's dandy and great. Here's the issue with that. Sometimes, at least in my case, I work with models, okay? And people be peopling, if you know what I'm talking about. But what might also make Trade for Print like difficult for a lot of people is either the location or the types of people that you run into, which, like I said, that one is, yeah. Some places, honestly, you might have a hard time finding Trade for Print work. Maybe there's a location where there's not a lot of people and even less people that want to do some sort of modeling. Or in my case, I have a lot of people and Trade for Print work is, oh boy. So I'm gonna just go ahead and say this. We're human beings, we're all people, and when we want to make time for something, we find a way to make time. Now, everybody has their lives, you know, we're we're whatever, but we've evolved to basically juggle our lifestyle. The problem with a lot of people who, let's say, sign up for Trade for Print, whether they're models or not models, the issue I tend to have a lot of times is people flaking, honestly. People not showing up, people basically treating it as not important. But no, in my line of work, it's very annoying, honestly, and it can be tricky because I have to deal with a lot of people. Now, the rejection part is really not what bothers me at all. The issue mostly comes from, let's say I'll be talking to a model, and this is where I think a lot of portrait photographers can agree, is that you ever just been talking to a model and like you're setting things up and, you know, you're talking about outfits, location, time, all that jazz, smooth as butter, and let's say a day, this is especially in my case, it's usually a day or two before the shoot that they're like, oh, that was today, I completely forgot, can we reschedule for like, I don't know, another 2 weeks, another 3 weeks? And it's like, well, again, this goes back to what I was saying about people having different things going on in their lives, that it might not even be a viable option anymore. So I've had this happen to me multiple times. I've had this happen to me to this day, and it never gets any less annoying because models are not free laborers. You gotta pay for that sort of service that they're bringing you, and I have no issue paying a model for, you know, her talent. I have no issue with that. But Trade for Print is obviously, for obvious reasons, more doable, and it's more viable because it saves me some extra change on who I want to book for those really big projects that I have coming up. But that's the biggest flaw of Trade for Print work, and this is why I gotta say to anybody that's like, you know, doing that sort of thing, if you're ever wondering, you know, why does this model keep flaking on me, or why does it seem like he or she isn't taking it as serious? Well, you got to understand, a lot of times people aren't gonna make time for things that they don't deem fulfilling, important in their lives. So if this was like, let's say for example, if I owned a big, if I was shooting for like GQ or Vogue or whatever the hell, they'll be on it heavy. They will, trust me, they're gonna be there. But because I'm basically, by all intents and purposes, an independent contractor in this sort of situation, they're not really going to see it as something that's like, I really got to get to it. And that's fine. I'm not trying to say like, you know, you need to treat it like with the utmost, like you don't need to do that. But I will say this, and this goes to anybody that's out there doing this sort of shit. If you're doing this, please just like let the photographer know, because if you only like the idea of a shoot, because that's honestly what I think it is. I think a lot of these people just like the idea of a shoot and not so much doing the shoot, because they think in their minds they gotta, you know, get their makeup done and everything has to be perfect. And you know, look, you've seen the models that I've worked with. Some of them don't even use makeup. It's just like, have a nice outfit on, let's go with the theme, and bada bing. Now this also plays into my next point. If you're doing trade for print work, honest to God, like, and this goes for anything, please like find viable models. Like, you often want to be careful like the kind of people you shoot with, because I've had moments where I'm talking to somebody about a shoot and, you know, they like the idea, but they're not even really like a good person. I don't even know how to explain it. They're not even like people that should, I don't know. But the person, let's just say for all intents and purposes, aren't really the kind of people that I would shoot for. Energy is important. The way they talk to you is important. I've had to do shoots with people that are, honest to God, mad insufferable, and I've had to sit there. I basically had to sit there and tough it out, because, you know, they already paid something or whatever. But never in trade for print work, never undersell yourselves, especially if you're starting out. Don't settle for like people who are gonna treat you like crap, because as photographers, a lot of people don't see what we do as art. They don't see it as a job. They don't take it seriously, honestly. A lot of people don't really care about the photographer. Trust me, they care more about your camera than they do the work. Because I'm just like, damn, imagine that. Like, imagine like the perspective of a painter. Imagine like I went back and took up like, I don't know, Van Gogh's paintbrush or something like that, and they're like, oh, you see, it's the same sort of thing. Like, oh man, they think that the camera is like what does all the work. No, the camera is just what produces like the image itself. I have to do the composition, I have to know the white balance, I have to know the ISO, all my settings I have to know, basically. So you want to be wary of people like that who undermine your photography. But if you're doing some sort of trade for print work, that's basically the pros and cons of it. It's very viable if you're just starting out, honestly. Maybe you can find someone that isn't a model but wants to get into it, or like, you know, has a photogenic sort of thing. Like I said, that's what I like. Or, you know, someone that is a model and they just want to get their recognition up. You can do that. Explore your options, but be prepared to have your patience tested when you decide to start trying to compromise your work and your talents with people who honestly don't deserve it. They can have nasty attitudes, they can communicate with you a certain kind of way. Don't deal with it. Do not deal with it. But hey, in regards to TFP, that's all I got for today. So if you guys liked what you saw, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow me on Instagram at ProImageRaw for more of my content that I post on that platform. And yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for tuning in. Stay creative.